let's jump into lesson 37, part 2, which is on parallelograms. The thing to know in this lesson is that parallelograms have 4 special properties, and these are the 4 special properties. You need to memorize these and put these in your mind so that when we do geometry problems, they're in there. The first one is the pairs of parallel sides have equal or congruent lengths. This is a sign for congruency. That just means if you took an image of them, they would be the same. So the pairs, down here is a parallelogram. The parallel sides are the same length. The second one is angles opposite to each other have equal or congruent measure. So this angle is equal to this angle is equal to this angle, just like in a rectangle. The sum of 2 adjacent angles is 180. So adjacent would be like D and C are adjacent, B and C are adjacent, B and A are adjacent. They're right next to each other. And the final thing is that the diagonals bisect each other. That means when the diagonals cross, this part is the same as this part. I can just mark this in. This one is equal to this one. It means it divides it exactly in half. And this one is equal to this one, or congruent to that one. So with these 4 things in mind, let's try 2 problems. The first one is example 4. ABCD is a parallelogram. They tell us that the measure of angle BAD is 65. So I wrote that in here. There's BAD at 65. What they want us to do is find ACD, and DCB, and then find X and Y. Let's find X and Y first because that's really easy. If we know that the diagonals bisect each other, then we know that X plus 2 is equal to 7. So we just write a little equation. X plus 2 is equal to 7, X equals 5. And same thing with the Y. Y plus 7 is equal to 4 because this diagonal bisects a line, so these 2 parts are equal. So Y plus 7 equals 4, which can't be right. Let's make that 14. Equals 14, so we get Y equals 7. If you get a negative number, it's just a hint that something's wrong. Now we have to find the angles. We know that BAD is 65. We know that the opposite angle, they're congruent or equal. So we know that this angle right here is also 65. And now all we have to do is find our final angle, which is CDA. We know that this one and this one have to add up to 180. So we take 180 minus 65 gives us 115 degrees, and that's our angle, the measure of angle CDA. So these are pretty easy. They're not difficult. Let's go to example 5. They're giving us that, I didn't write these in, ABCD is a parallelogram, and we just want to find X and Y. So on this one, we're not worried about the bisectors, we're just worried about the angles. So we can, if you notice, we have X and X, so we want to work with these 2 first. These are adjacent angles. And on our special property of parallelograms, it says that the adjacent angles, A plus B equals 180. So I'm just going to take 5x plus 10. I'm going to add it to angle B, which is 10x plus 50. And I know that these 2 add up to 180. So combine our like terms, so we get 15x plus 60 equals 180. 15x equals 120, and that gives us x is equal to, just do this in my head when I'm on film, this equals 8. So we have x equals 8. So if we filled these in, we could get the angles. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 plus 50 is 130. So that one's 130 degrees. Fill x in for this one. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 10 equals 50. And isn't that neat? These 2 angles add up to 180. Now we need to figure out what y is. The other property of a parallelogram is the opposite angles are equal. So we know that this, down here, this whole thing equals 130. It's the same as this one. They're the same. But what we want is y. We don't just want what the angle is equal to, we want what y is equal to. So we would get y plus 10 is equal to 130, and y is going to equal 120 degrees. So we have our x, and we have our y, and that's all there is to parallelograms.